Tonight on News 22.
The anniversary of the school shooting in Parkland, Florida.
The White House is preparing for a national emergency at the southern border.
And if you're looking for a last-second Valentine's gift, we have the place for you.
All that and more on News 22 Thursday.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Diana Castillo.
And I'm Victoria Valderrama. On the anniversary of one New Mexico school shooting yesterday, there was another in a school in Rio Rancho. Sue Cleveland was evacuated after shots were fired.
School officials stated on Twitter that all the students were safe and the weapons had been confiscated and the suspect was in custody. The children were taken to an arena about 3 miles from the campus for the parents to pick them up. 365 days. That's how long it's been since former student walked into Parkland, Florida school and killed 17 people.
Across the country, people pay tribute to the victims of the deadliest high school shooting in history. But the memorials are more poignant in Parkland. Natasha Chen is in Parkland, Florida with more.
At 10:17 this morning, students across Florida stood silent. The tribute honoring the 17 people who died 1 year ago at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
1 year ago, when Alyssa was brutally shot down and taken from our hearts, and it is very painful.
A year ago today, there was chaos and confusion during the Valentine's Day shooting rampage. But now a peaceful memorial garden stands outside the school. A sign with the school's unofficial slogan, MSD Strong, hangs above.
Today is a day that we are calling a day of service and love to honor the victims.
In almost an instant, student survivors became activists and made it their mission to campaign for gun reform.
This is our generation's Vietnam War, except the war is in our country.
They crossed the country holding protests.
Fight for your lives before it's someone else's job.
And rallies.
We were the only people that could have made this movement possible.
Since the shooting, 26 states and Washington, D.C. passed varying gun control measures.
We're really seeing a lot of reasons to look to the future and see hope.
But after the year of activism, today is a day for silence. In Parkland, Florida, I'm Natasha Chen reporting.
I wonder what the weather will be looking like tonight for all the dates going on.
Hopefully, all good news. And Danielle is next with a first look at weather.
This is Janelle Gutierrez with your current conditions. Taking a look outside right now, we have cloudy skies with temperatures at 65 degrees. Might feel a little bit chillier with those high winds at 15 miles per hour coming out of the west-southwest. Our humidity is at 32%, a dew point sitting at 33 degrees, and a barometer reading at 29.83 inches. Taking a look at our weather today, we hit a high of 72 degrees, which is well above our average at 64 degrees, and we woke up to an overnight low of 55 degrees. Throwing it back to the year 2014, we hit record high temperatures at 78 degrees, and in the year 1965, record low temperatures at 13 degrees. We had no rainfall today, leaving our yearly rainfall at 0.06 inches. Those are all the current conditions I have for you right now. I'll be back with your national forecast. For now, back to the desk.
Breaking developments in Washington over the spending deal to avert a government shutdown.
The White House says President Trump will sign the bill to reopen the government and will also declare a national emergency at the southern border. Kristen Holmes has the latest from Washington.
The president will sign the bill. We'll be voting on it shortly.
President Trump is planning to sign a bipartisan deal to keep the government open. But that's not all.
He will also be issuing a national emergency declaration at the same time.
The White House announcing President Trump's attempt to secure funding for his border wall through a national emergency at the border in a statement, saying the executive action was taken to, quote, stop the national security and humanitarian crisis at the border. The president is once again delivering on his promise to build the wall, protect the border, and secure our great country.
First of all, it's not an emergency. What's happening at the border? It's a humanitarian challenge to us.
Well, sources said President Trump intended to sign the bill. The president had complained to allies that Republican negotiators were outplayed by their Democratic counterparts. The compromise deal includes $1.375 billion for 55 miles of new border barriers, funding for 75 new immigration judges, as well as money for humanitarian aid, improved technology at the ports of entry, and hundreds of new customs and border protection personnel. The $1.375 billion secured for border barriers, far below the $5.7 billion the president originally demanded. In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes reporting.
People who seem suicidal or at risk to others may have their guns taken away. New Mexico's House of Representatives passed a bill that would allow police or members of the House to seek court orders requiring people deemed threatening to temporarily surrender their guns. House Speaker Brian Egolf said that the voters want to see results after the election of Michelle Lujan Grisham and the Democratic House majority. The legislature is trying to make it easier for New Mexico students to pay for college. The bill would require the state to keep at least $40 million in the lottery scholarship fund. Right now, 30% of gross lottery sales go to the fund. That means the money fluctuates year by year. Supporters say the new bill would help make the amount of lottery scholarships more consistent through the years.
If you work for minimum wage in New Mexico, you could soon get a raise. Late yesterday, the House of Representatives passed a bill that would increase the minimum wage from $7.50 to $12 by 2021. The bill would not include tipped workers. The bill now awaits the Senate. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham says she will sign it if it gets to her desk. A construction project in Las Cruces is causing some problems for some local businesses.
The Valley Drive project began in late June. Reporter Alyssa Thayes looks into a bakery forced to close its doors for good.
Walking into La Fiesta Bakery, you're met with a sweet aroma of freshly baked goods. From cakes to donuts and scones, the Montoyas have been baking up delicacies for every sweet tooth for over 13 years.
It's our livelihood. You know, I mean, it's our bread and butter, literally.
It's on Valley Drive, and it is surrounded by construction. In the first month of construction alone, they say they lost 80% of their revenue.
No entry here. You gotta go with the Hadley.
Gina and her husband rely on the winter months for business, but she says the construction killed any hope they had to keep going.
No business, no customers.
So right across that barrier is where La Fiesta Bakery is located, but it's very difficult to get there because of the large barriers. So in order to do so, you have to turn into Hadley Drive and gain access from the back. Every month, along with other business owners, they go to a meeting with the New Mexico Department of Transportation.
The Sun News has said I have been the most vocal, and I have been because I have obviously the most to lose.
Project manager Ryan Tafoya says the project is necessary to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and says with any project, they keep businesses in mind.
We always try to work with the businesses and provide them the best access as possible, as well as signs directing customers of where they need to access those facilities.
But Gina says they didn't do enough.
They didn't even do their homework to see how this would affect anybody.
She's grateful her customers stood by them.
It's come through and rallied, and at the same time, you know, we've had people come in and cry. You know, it's like tears aren't going to get us anywhere. You know, and so hoping the best for us, and hoping we can open up, and you know, just hoping.
They've been part of the community for a long time, and they've got great products and great prices.
But they're local people. They've grown up and raised here, so it's really sad to see them go.
Gina says they hate to be forced out of business, but that's not going to stop them from baking. Alyssa Tellez, News 22.
It may be too late for La Fiesta Bakery, but state officials say they will speed up the project. This change will have the construction crews operating 7 days a week and working 84-hour weeks instead of the 50-hour weeks they had been working. They expect to finish the first two phases on April 28th, which is 12 weeks earlier than originally planned. And stay tuned, Danielle will be back with your national forecast.
But first, if you want to fall in love, take a sip of a magic potion. More on that when News 22 continues.
Join KRWG-Public Media for a coffee talk and visit in Alamogordo. Join us Thursday, February 21st from 9 to 11 in the morning at Patrons Hall, located at 1106 North New York Avenue. Meet with KRWG staff to discuss public media in Alamogordo at Patrons Hall. We'll see you there on February 21st from 9 to 11 in the morning.
This season, PBS honors Black history, exploring the roots.
I feel like I come from greatness. Wow, it's humbling.
The stories.
Oh my goodness.
It is a remarkable piece of history. And the legacy of the African American experience.
It was quite a deal to have a black man singing country music.
Sammy Davis Jr.'s whole life was about confronting obstacles.
See these stories and more.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Thursday,
where news matters.
What's a better way to spend Valentine's Day than marrying the one you love?
Earlier today at the Doña Ana County Government Center, some lucky couples got a free marriage ceremony. The ceremony was overseen by a magistrate judge that allowed the couples to say their vows, give their rings, and kiss their new spouse. The free marriage ceremony started last year and had a good turnout, with more than 10 couples being married that day. Couples young and old were seen waiting to come under the veiled arch. At the end of the ceremony, Officer Jamar Cotton would cuff the newlyweds together as a sign of bondage. The marriage licenses only cost $25 and needed at least 2 witnesses. It will then be sent to the county clerk to be recorded and officialized. It is Valentine's Day, and according to ABC News, 54% of Americans will celebrate.
And as I found out, there's one place in town where you can get more than the typical roses and chocolate. Mandy Jers and Jake Farina were just passing through Las Cruces and decided to stop at this one-of-a-kind shop.
And this one too.
It's called Funky Karma, and the owner, Janet, has lots of unique gifts, and Valentine's Day is one of her busiest times.
Best seller that we have is the chocolate tea. We're about the only shop in town that carries chocolate teas, and at the moment we have about 10 different flavors. And then second to that would be the love potions and candles and all the love powders, amulets. We have a whole selection of that.
Customers at Funky Karma come all year long, and during Valentine's season, it seems more singles drop by to get a taste of that love potion. Is it magic or is it science? Whatever the answer is, people come from all around to find answers.
We actually have candles and tea, so that's kind of amazing. But yeah, I don't think it's really an option for us to buy impersonal things from commercial corporate America stores.
So next time you find yourself wondering what to give someone on February 14th, a tea, candle, or potion might be the perfect item.
It's like magic.
Victoria Valderrama, News 22.
The locally owned Northern New Mexico restaurant Wex is building its first store in southern New Mexico. Wex announced this morning they plan to open up one of their chain restaurants as early as this summer. The location of the new Wex will be in the former Dublin's Pub on the corner of University and Locust. Wex has other plans to open a second location in Las Cruces as well. No word on when or where that will be. Whether it's candy hearts or 3-course meals, spending Valentine's Day with your sweetheart might not be the best thing for your heart. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death for men and women in the United States.
In today's Health Minute, Meredith Wood explains how to celebrate a heart-healthy Valentine's Day.
This Valentine's Day, think outside the box of chocolates.
There are lots of ways to show your love on Valentine's Day that include some heart-healthy options.
Instead of sweets, give the gift of time.
For example, going for a walk together or maybe participating in another activity that the two of you really enjoy.
The same goes for your kids.
Things like stickers or fun Valentine's Day cards, or let them make friendship bracelets as a way for them to show how much they appreciate their friends instead of sending them to school with candy.
Instead of going to a fancy restaurant, cook a candlelit dinner at home.
When we cook our own meals, we are in control of what goes into our mouths, and we can really ensure that what we're eating is a healthy option.
And while it might not make for the most romantic date, the American Heart Association has set up free heart screenings at CVS Minute Clinics across the country this Valentine's Day and every Thursday in February.
You have no idea how to prevent cardiovascular disease unless you know where you're starting from.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
We have heard others say that they always get sick when they get the flu shot.
Well, it turns out that sentiment may not be entirely wrong. You can't actually get the flu from the shot, but it doesn't prevent infection either. According to the CDC, this season's flu shot is 47% effective at preventing the disease. People who are vaccinated generally get less severe symptoms for a shorter periods of time.
Well, it's been really nice out the last couple of days. I'm wondering what the horizon looks like for the rest of the country.
I do too, and Danielle is next with the national forecast.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at our national forecast. Now, Winter Storm Nadia will head toward the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic starting tonight. As you can see, this low pressure system here is bringing snow, sleet, and freezing rain that could affect commutes in the Midwest tomorrow. These areas should also expect snow throughout the rest of the weekend. Now, taking a look at my next map, we're going to look at tonight's forecast across the nation. On this side of the map, we can see San Francisco at 48 degrees. Up north, we can see Cut Bank at a chilly -6 degrees. On this side of the map, we can see New York at 39 degrees. And down here, we can see our neighboring city, El Paso, Texas at 61 degrees. So if you are planning to head out for Valentine's Day tonight, make sure to pile on a couple light layers before you head out the door. Now on my final map, we're going to be looking at the forecast for tomorrow. As I said, the western part of the United States is affected by Winter Storm Nadia. As indicated by the blue area here, these areas can expect heavy snow and heavy rain. Now in these areas down here in Atlanta and Nashville, they are going to be expecting some rain. What does that mean for us here at home? We won't be seeing any harsh weather conditions as for tomorrow. That's all the national weather I have for you right now. Make sure to stay tuned for your local forecast right after this break.
Fresh Air with Terry Gross, weekday mornings at 11 on 90.7 FM and streaming live on KRWG.org.
It's the Movies for Grown-Ups Awards, for movies that speak to grown-up minds. Join Career Achievement winner Shirley MacLaine.
Thank you very much.
And your host Martin Short when the star-studded Movies for Grown-Ups Awards with AARP The Magazine comes to great performances.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-Public Media.
I have inflammatory arthritis, osteoarthritis, I have fibromyalgia.
If you're on chronic opioids, not only do we find they don't work as well on chronic pain, the risks start to mount.
You can look at the risks of opioids, but nothing is risk-free.
Correct. And to that, I have increasingly been using more natural products.
I'm Dr. Peter Salgo. Join us this week for Second Opinion.
Sunday at 1:30 p.m.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at New Mexico now. As we can see here, we have Clovis at 62 degrees, Santa Fe at 45, Farmington at 39, Roswell at 67, Las Cruces at 65, and Deming at 64. Taking a look at New Mexico tomorrow, we can see Clovis here at 68, Socorro at 65, Farmington a little bit cooler at 53, Las Cruces here at 70, and Deming at 67. Now let's look at our neighboring cities. Tonight, Truth or Consequences at 51 degrees with partly cloudy skies, and tomorrow again cloudy skies at 70 degrees. Silver City tonight at 46 degrees, tomorrow partly sunny skies at 56 degrees. Here in Las Cruces, we're going to be at a low tonight of 55 degrees and a high tomorrow at 70 degrees. Now, that's all the local temperatures I have for you right now. I'll be back with your 5-day forecast later on in the show. For now, back to the desk.
Security guards at a Texas Navy base shot and killed a man this morning in Corpus Christi.
That's the first story in tonight's Southwest Minute.
Security guards at a Texas Navy base shot and killed a man this morning in Corpus Christi. The guards chased the subject as he drove a stolen car through a gate. He later crashed onto another gate and ran away while the car caught on fire. A Navy spokesman says security guards shot the man when he charged at them. His identity has not been released. Boxes of merchandise are scattered along the road in Sanger, Texas, near Dallas. A train crashed into an 18-wheeler this morning. The driver called for help when the big rig got stuck on the tracks, but the train could not stop in time. Luckily, no one was injured. And teachers in Denver are back in their classrooms after a 3-day strike. The teachers' union reached a deal with school officials that replaces bonus with base salaries increases. The tentative agreement also guarantees cost of living increases and does away with 5-figure bonuses for school administrator. That's Denise Nájera with your Southwest Minute.
I heard there's a softball tournament going on this weekend.
That should be lots of fun, and Mandy's going to tell us more on that next with sports.
That's right, Vicki. It should be. Coming up in sports, I'm going to highlight how the women's basketball team did this morning and take a look at one star on the court. You can toss that remote because News 22 Sports is next.
We formed a family to look out for each other. No one else was looking out for us.
3 friends confront their futures and face the past.
How much did you know about what was happening?
Skateboarding meant more to you than being cool and having friends. It was kind of a life or death thing.
The Oscar-nominated Minding the Gap on POV.
Monday at 8 p.m.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, who's a model king of the monsters?
Godzilla has become the ultimate pop icon. The monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, the market has come down a little bit on those model kits versus while Godzilla is appreciating because just how cool is Godzilla? Everybody loves Godzilla. He's my favorite.
Find out more next time on Antiques Roadshow from the Hotel Del Coronado in Coronado, California.
Monday at 7 p.m. on KRWG-Public Media.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Amanda Adame, and let's talk sports. The women's basketball team is coming off another win. This morning, the Aggies defeated Utah Valley 72-63. That's the team's 9th straight win. The Aggies are now 18-6 overall and 10-1 in conference play. Their next game will be on Saturday at Seattle U. Seattle U is currently 1-8 in conference play. What better way to spend Valentine's Day than at the Pan Am Center? After some exciting road wins, the Aggies men's basketball team is back in the comfort of their own home for a 4-game stretch. The conference-leading Aggies will start it off tonight in about 15 minutes, facing off against the Utah Valley Wolverines. Be there tonight and feel the love. The undefeated New Mexico State softball team continues the 2019 season with the Troy Cox Classic this weekend. After dominating the Diamond last week, the Aggies will be looking to continue their unbeaten streak. The Aggies welcome Texas State, Bradley, Montana, and San Jose State to Las Cruces for the annual tournament. I was able to make it out to the Mayfield Centennial boys basketball game Tuesday night, and the atmosphere felt like a college arena. It was raining threes throughout the contest, and Jarrell Starfield was truly a star, dunking on and over and around defenders. Mark my words that you will see him in an NBA jersey. Mayfield came close in the end, but the Hawks flew past, winning 74-66. The Hawks are now 9-15 overall, and Mayfield falls to 11-12. But with Starfield, they have nothing to fear. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action next week. Still ahead on News 22, Danielle will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, how one dating app is in big trouble this Valentine's Day. More on that when News 22 returns.
It's the Movies for Grown-Ups Awards, for movies that speak to grown-up minds. Join Career Achievement winner Shirley MacLaine.
Thank you very much.
And your host Martin Short when the star-studded Movies for Grown-Ups Awards with AARP the magazine comes to great performances.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-Public Media.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Saturday at 9 p.m.
From pure electric to pure performance, Motor Week looks at factors mattering most to consumers. Hi, I'm Norma Vichot, Program Manager here at KRWG, and its third decade of reviewing cars, trucks, and utility vehicles spanning the needs of buyers. Motor Week shares tips on keeping your car running and keeping the pace in the automotive lifestyle. The engines start revving Saturday mornings at 11:30. For more programming information, visit krwg.org.
Let's take a look at our top stories. As reported from the White House, Donald Trump will be reopening the government and declaring a national emergency at the southern border. It has been a year since the deadliest high school shooting in Parkland, Florida, and people gathered to honor the victims' lives. And I found a place where you can purchase different Valentine's gifts that stray away from the typical roses and chocolates.
Many people can't decide what to get for Valentine's Day. Chocolates, flowers? I know. How about personal data? That's the gift some users of the dating app Coffee Meets Bagel are unwillingly giving this Valentine's Day. The company sent an email to some of its users Thursday saying an unauthorized party got access to their names and email addresses. Company officials haven't revealed how the breach happened or how many users were impacted. According to the TechCrunch, the information was part of a larger database for sale on the darker web. The seller claims it includes stolen user data from multiple other sites. Coffee Meets Bagel says it's hired a security firm to review its systems.
Wow, that's a really scary story.
Exactly.
Especially on a day like today.
Exactly. Danielle, tell us what the next 5 days are looking like.
Let's go ahead and look at our 5-day forecast. Now, this week is looking fairly nice. We have temperatures ranging in the 60s and 70s, so pretty cool temperatures, and our lows in the 30s and 40s. So we have cool temperatures and cloudy skies all week, but hopefully no rain.
All right, well, good news. And don't forget, you can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News 22 team is up to. And that's all for News 22. I'm Diana Castillo.
I'm Victoria Valderrama.
And I'm Danielle Gutierrez.
This news brief in Español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Los saluda Raquel López en este breve informativo de Noticias 22. De acuerdo con el Departamento de Policía de Río Rancho, Nuevo México, un estudiante disparó un solo tiro dentro de la escuela VSU Cleveland High School poco antes de que las clases comenzaran el jueves por la mañana. No se reportaron heridos y el estudiante fue detenido en las cercanías. La policía dice que el menor es de 18 años. La policía de las Cruces arrestó a un guardia de seguridad fuera de servicio sospechoso de haber disparado a su novia. Israel Salas, de 28 años, es acusado de un cargo de asalto agravado contra un miembro de la familia. Alrededor de las 9 de la noche del martes, la policía fue enviada al informe de una víctima de un disparo en un departamento en el este de la calle Bouts. Los agentes llegaron para encontrar a una mujer de 24 años que sufría una herida de bala en el hombro. La mujer fue trasladada a un hospital local y luego al Centro Médico Universitario de El Paso. Salas fue ingresado al centro de detención del condado de Doña Ana y fue liberado con una fianza de $2,000. Los invitamos a seguirnos a través de nuestras redes sociales de Facebook e Instagram, donde se les dará las noticias más relevantes de esta semana. Para Noticias 22, Raquel López.